My name is Desiree Kameka Galloway. I've worked for the Madison House Autism Foundation for nearly 2 decades. When we first started, Madison House Autism Foundation invested in traveling across the country to be able to see what are people doing related to housing? Where is innovation happening? How did these founders make it happen? I am proud to say that we have made significant progress in the last 20 years. We have fought against restrictive regulations. We have created a robust autism housing network to give people information that they need with over 10,000 visitors every month. We've created a foundational report called the A Place in the World Report that provided shared language so that the housing industry, the service industry, and consumers can work together towards discussing solutions. And we've also done market analysis, housing market analysis, using that language so that we can really share with the housing industry at the local level, what do people need and what do people want from future housing solutions? I've realized that it's not just about a roof over one's head. My friend Daniel, I used to be his host home provider. He lived with my husband and I. This is common way for adults with autism and other intellectual and developmental disabilities to receive services as adults. It's somewhat like adult foster care. When he moved in with us, we learned how to go to the grocery store. We learned how to drive. We learned how to have appropriate relationships with those he may have been romantically interested in. We had a lot of fun. Daniel eventually moved out and hit the jackpot. He has his own apartment. He now drives. He has employment with great benefits in a job that matches his interests. On paper, it seems like he has everything. I got a call from Daniel not too long ago, and he said, "Hey, Desi, what's going on?" And we just chatted like we always do. Daniel's still a close friend. And he said, "Well, I went to the psychiatric ward. I had another episode. Daniel struggles with suicidal ideation. And there were multiple times when he lived with us where we had to hide sharps and kind of be on watch when he was being challenged with these intrusive thoughts." And I said, "Well, what happened? Why didn't you call? What's going on?" And in those moments, he just kind of freezes. It's really hard for him to think about, well, where is my support system? Who could I reach out to? And so he ended up going to the psychiatric ward. And I said, "Well, how did that go?" And he said, "Actually, I made a bunch of friends. And I can't wait to go back so I can see my friends again." And that broke my heart that Daniel went to a psychiatric ward to find friends, that he feels as if he wasn't able to have those relationships and then access those relationships at a time where he needed them. You see, it's more than just giving someone housing assistance or building housing and putting autism on the building. It's really about thinking through what are the supportive amenities that can be available at a property that can support someone to not just have a sense of belonging, but when times are dark, to have that space and place to reach out to people who know you and can intervene on your behalf. See, that's neuro-inclusive housing. Housing that has these additional human resources. Maybe it's planned social activities. Maybe it's just someone at a front desk 24/7, somebody who connects people with the greater community that matches their interests. When we did that research so long ago, those were the settings that really stood out to me, where I was talking to residents and they were saying, "We have more friends than I ever had before," or "I'm happy," or, parents telling me they are doing things that we didn't even think were possible in terms of independent living. Our country is in dire need of better housing, from the design standpoint to be cognitively accessible, as well as those human resources through supportive amenities. I'm excited to say that the Autism Housing Network is now hosting webinars focused on developers to really help them through their journey and think through potential projects. The market analysis that we're providing clearly shows that there are barriers and concerns related to relationships and abuse and being able to access the community. I'm hopeful for the next 20 years. We've grown so much in these last 2 decades, and there's nothing to say that we're not going to grow even more. And what's even better is that I feel as if this community is a shining light for others. The past US Surgeon General declared that there's an epidemic on loneliness in our population, in the US population, among neurotypicals. By creating housing that is accessible and better for individuals who have autism or other intellectual and developmental disabilities, we might be doing a better job at developing housing in neighborhoods for the neurotypical population as well. The future is bright. We need people like you to be able to look around, reach out to those who you know might be neurodivergent, and think about when you have that next public hearing for affordable housing that's targeting adults with disabilities, to be an advocate, to share, yeah, we can create housing that's better for this population, and it's going to make our neighborhoods even better as well. To be honest, we don't have a choice. There are over 1 million adults who are likely living with a caregiver over the age of 60. What's going to happen? I can tell you because we get those calls with the Autism Housing Network. We've been contacted by individuals who have had to go to the nursing facility with their family. And now I have a case manager calling saying, well, what do we do with this person? And they're completely disconnected from the system. It's going to take months to untangle an opportunity that really meets their needs and isn't just a forced placement. I've conducted focus groups on autistic people experiencing homelessness. This is not an uncommon occurrence. So what's our options? What's our choices? To create better housing for everyone, of course, to make a difference in the future. So we will, at the Autism Housing Network, continue to strive to make sure that this invisible population in the housing crisis is finally seen. And not just seen, but that we are able to have the data that shares what people need and what people want, so that they don't just have a roof over their head, but they find their spaces and places to belong. Thank you all for your support, and I look forward to working with you in the future.